So I was born and raised here in Key West, and my entire life I've always heard people say that Key West is way too expensive. Now my friends and family that have moved from here, they have all regretted selling their house. And in this video, we're going to talk about, is Key West a good investment? How can I get a good deal? And we're going to talk about the market trends in here. And in case we've never met before, my name's Solaris Gregory. I'm also a licensed realtor here in Key West. I help people buy, sell, invest, and relocate to this wonderful island. And my wife, Marcella, my daughter, Venice, and our puppy, we were all born and raised here. And stay tuned for more videos. So like and subscribe, because this is a good way to educate yourself about the Key West and the surrounding areas. So the first thing we're going to be discussing in this video is how to get a good deal. And one of the first things you should do is study the market. You can see that Key West price per square foot has gone down, and the median sale price has gone down a little bit, about 4%. But in other places like in Tampa and other places, it decreased more. So Key West really holds really good value. It's one of those places where there's only so much supply and a lot of demand. Now, another thing that you want to do is study all the houses and how long they've been on the market. A good way to do that is I have a website called propertieskeywest.com, and it's updated every 3 minutes. It's one of the most accurate MLS websites out there. And what you do is I would just study it every day. If you do get a subscription or log in, but what you can do is it will send you alerts that will fit your criteria. Let's say you're just looking in Old Town, and if you circle that area and put in your price range, anytime a new listing that pops up in that criteria, you'll get an e-alert for it. So that's a good way to study it, because you can really look at different kinds of trends that way. Also, when you're studying the different houses in different areas, you can see what they're selling for price per square foot. Like in Old Town, you're looking probably between $1,100 to $1,800 a square foot, and depending on the house. Another good thing to do is study how long each property has been on the market. If it's been on the market for 160 days, you might be able to have a little bit more wiggle room in the price. Now, you also can see how many price reductions they've had. So if they've dropped it substantially, sometimes the seller doesn't have much wiggle room, but you never know. Put in an offer, and the worst they could say is no. Another thing that I'll do is, if there's a certain property that my client's interested in, what I'll do is I'll call the listing agent, and sometimes they'll give me information of where the seller's at. Because if it's an urgent sale, or they need to free up some cash, or another situation would be that they just aren't in a rush, and maybe they have renters in there, so they're making money. So different situations can lead to different outcomes, but a lot of times the listing agent will give me that information. Another thing you want to do is take into consideration of how the photos are, and maybe why it's not selling. Maybe it's just the color of the house. Some people might not like the color of the house, but that can be an easy fix. Or maybe a lot of times they take pictures and there's a bunch of junk all around. A lot of people can't look past that, and that might make a house kind of stagnant, because when people can't look past that, it makes them kind of just move on to the next place. Also, another situation that homeowners get into is if they price their house way too high, and then they keep having the reductions. Like there's a place over on Riviera where I think it was listed at 1.7, and the seller kept reducing the price, and now it's down to $995, and I think it's one of the best deals in the market right now. Also, if a listing is brand new, a lot of times the seller won't take, offers unless it's pretty close to that asking price, because they're like, oh, it just hit the market, so we want to see what other kind of offers we get. So if you try to lowball them, it doesn't usually fly in those situations. When purchasing a house down here in the Florida Keys, something you want to take into consideration is it a good investment opportunity? Because if you can get it for a good deal, what usually happens is the equity in the house usually increases drastically, and you can also offset some of those costs by renting the property out. And then in the long term, usually the property increases in value drastically, and you get a really good return on your investment. Now, I've purchased 2 houses in the Keys, and every time I've looked at a house, I can usually see whether it's undervalued or not. And a lot of times, if it does just need a little bit of work, I don't have a problem doing that, and then it increases your value drastically. And I did that on both my houses down here. Something else that you might want to consider when getting a good deal is find something that's a little bit more off the beaten path. When you're looking just like an Old Town Key West, they can be really pricey. Now, if you come a little bit away from Key West where you're not such in a walking distance of Duval Street, that really helped, because if you're in Midtown, you can get like some really good deals. And instead of walking to downtown, you can just ride your bike. Since there has been a little bit of a correction in the market, I think it's a really good time to buy, because you can get a really good deal and have equity right off the bat from purchasing the house. When you're dealing with Key West is a lifestyle, and being able to be here and just enjoy the beautiful weather all the time. I mean, I shoot these videos all the time and I don't have to wait for a sunny day. Almost every day it's sunny here, So I'm out here in my backyard and make these videos, and after work, I'll take my daughter to the beach, or we'll go downtown, or we go over to the brewery where there's an arcade and walk around the docks in that area. And it's always a lot of fun just, living this laid-back lifestyle after work. So is Key West a good investment? I would say Key West is a great investment. It's always going to be increasing in price year after year. And something that you want to take into consideration is that since 1976, the population of Key West hasn't increased, and there's so many people that want to be on this small island, and the accessibility has just increased. They just extended the runway, so we get direct flights from all over New York, Baltimore. I did a showing the other day from someone that got a direct flight from Indiana. Just a few days ago, redid the airport as well. So they extended the runway and redid the airport. So having that easier accessibility, so you don't have to, get on multiple flights in order to get here, I think that really increases the value of this island. I think more and more people are being able to figure out ways to work remotely. And, there's a lot more retirees down here. And a lot of people just want to get away from the bigger cities and just enjoy this, beautiful nature-oriented lifestyle. Usually you'll get about a 4 to 6% return on your investment per year for a house in Key West. And some of those more luxurious houses, they can even increase as much as 10%. So something that's going on with the market right now is a lot of people think that their value of house is a lot higher than it is. When it's decreased a little bit, people are still asking those outrageous numbers. And I think that hurts them in the long run, because they keep having these price reductions to where it should have been, and they even go below where it should have been, where the value of the house is anyway. So Key West is a 2 mile by 4 mile island, and from January to March, there have been 293 houses that have sold, which is a little bit low for this time, and more houses are coming on the market. So it's turning into a deep buyer's market, which is always a really good time to jump in, because there's more inventory, and those houses that are selling are competing with those other houses. On average, it takes about 58 days for the house to sell, which before I think they were selling like between 20 and 30 days. Now, when I sold my house up the Keys, a lot of people were telling me that it was worth way more than what I thought it was, and I priced it $25,000 above what I wanted to get, and I just wanted to price it correctly and then move back here down in Key West. The only reason why we moved from up the Keys is because we had our daughter and we wanted to be closer to our parents, but we were only at mile marker 15. We loved it up there. We had our boat in the backyard, and we go out to the different Snipes Key, the different sandbars, and like Marvin Key. And then we, take our boat out to Lou Key and do all the reef snorkeling. Another thing to take into consideration is if you're planning on renting your house, or if you're trying to buy a house and you want to just put it on Airbnb or VRBO, now it would have to have a transient license if you're going to rent it for less than 30 days. Now, almost all the houses in Key West and the Florida Keys, they're 30 days or more, so what they want is for more high-quality renters to come in there and not disturb the neighbors. A long time ago, they had these, 30-something years ago, they had these transient licenses, and people purchase these transient licenses, and they're attached to the house, and what you can do with those is rent them nightly. Now, you can't get those anymore because they stopped issuing them about 30 years ago. But every once in a while, those do come up on the market. A lot of them end up being, let's say you had a 3-bedroom house and it had a transient license attached to it, it would increase the value by almost $500,000. I can't tell you how blessed we feel to live here on this wonderful island. I have my boat in the front yard. I attached to my car. and put it in the marina right around the corner. I take my daughter swimming all the time. We skate around these wonderful downtown area and stuff. If you're thinking about making a move to Key West, please drop me a line. My contact information is below along with my calendar. And if you agree or disagree or have anything to add, please make a comment below. I'll be happy to answer personally, and just keep living that island life.